All right, so now just a brief summary of how much it cost at each one of the supercharging stops and how much that was overall, as well as how much we could have saved if we did not charge at all of those supercharging stops and had charged at our destination for free. Obviously, that would be the most common scenario for an electric car because, again, you're going to plan out a destination where you're going to have the ability to charge at that destination, ideally. And in our case, we probably could have charged at our destination. I just didn't want to fool with it because the supercharger was so convenient to our condo. At the first charging stop, it was $4.44 there at Tifton, and then it was $11.76 at the next stop. The three next supercharging stops that we did could have been avoided again, but they were $11.18, $7.54, $2.60, and then we had two charging stops that were necessary on the way home for $9.10, $7.20, and then we had the one that we could have avoided there for $3.38 in Macon that was not really needed, but we stopped there anyway and charged just because why not, for a total of $55.20. So that and combined, I'm going to go ahead and count in the $9.98 that we charged at Epcot. Again, that is not really a very good price for charging, and we just did it honestly just because I wanted to try it out and see what it was like, and it was super convenient. Honestly, I would almost count that as, a cheaper way to get preferred parking at Epcot. So it was $10 because preferred parking at Epcot was like $20 more. It was like $45 versus $25 to park to get the preferred parking, and this space was actually much more preferred, in my opinion, than the preferred parking that they would have given us for $20 extra, and we paid essentially $10 to park there, plus we got the charge. So I don't know how you want to count that or not, but let's just say total it would have been $65.18 to charge the entire trip of 1,082 miles, which would be, that's not really a great price. If you were doing, let's say, 30 miles to gallon, let's say you normally got 30 miles to the gallon, or, you know what, we used to drive a Prius, so let's just say we would have gotten 50 miles to the gallon. That would have been 20 gallons that we would have gotten of gas for the trip, and that would have cost us, at $2 a gallon, that would have been $40. So it would have been $40 for gas if we were driving our Prius, and it was $65 for this electric cost. Again, that's if you have the most fuel efficient car comparatively speaking that I'm aware of there with that Prius. And so it could have been cheaper, essentially, than supercharging and the opportunity charging costs that we had. But if we didn't charge at Epcot, because we didn't need to, and we didn't do those supercharging stops that we didn't need to, again, because at our destination it could have been free charging, it would have been $30.50 to just do the charging for free at the condo before we made the trip back. And if we had done that, $30.50 would have been the equivalent of getting somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 miles to the gallon. I'm not going to actually do the exact math, and so that would be $30.50 for almost 1,100 miles road trip. That would be pretty cheap gas wise. Again, you'd have to be doing really good in a Prius in order to get that kind of fuel efficiency and for that cost. So overall, is it cheaper to drive electric on a road trip? It kind of depends on how much you're supercharging versus whether you charge at your destinations and that sort of thing. Because you got to remember, when we charge up at home, it's 8 cents a kilowatt hour. It's basically the equivalent of getting 120 miles to the gallon cost-wise. So all throughout the year when we're charging at home, it is super cheap compared to actually driving even the most fuel efficient car. Again, comparing to a Prius that we used to have, getting 60 miles to the gallon. I mean, it's way better. It's like twice as efficient as that. And again, in my opinion, it's much nicer to just go to a supercharger, plug it in, leave it there, and not worry about it. It's much better to take your car home and you just plug it in at night, just like you plug in your phone at night. And I actually saw a kind of funny commercial for Volvo plug-in hybrids. I think it's actually a pretty interesting commercial. It really gets you thinking about how simple it is to have an electric car. You just plug it in at night, just like you plug in your phone. It's no big deal. You get up in the morning, and guess what? You have a full charge for what you want to do. And that's exactly what it's like in a Tesla. Normally, without a road trip, you just plug in the car, you don't think about it, you come back out in the morning and your car's ready to go, 100% charge, or 80. We usually just charge it to 70-80% right now because we're not driving a ton, but it's very convenient and you don't even think about that. So for a road trip, supercharging costs, if you just, like I said, hammer that supercharger and don't take any advantage of the ability to charge freely at your destination, you can end up, costing as much as it would for a pretty fuel efficient vehicle. Overall, very happy with the cost of supercharging, and even the fact that we did way more supercharging and extra charging at Epcot to drive up that cost. It was still so much more enjoyable than actually getting gas in a car. So take it for what it's worth. You decide based on your trips, your road trips, whether you think that that's worth it to you. But to me, the convenience and the ease of supercharging outweighs any extra cost it might have been had we, had a very fuel efficient car. And again, if you compare that to all of the trips that you normally do, normal day trips and that sort of thing, or around town, and you're just charging at home, so much cheaper for us overall, and better for the environment. So great overall experience supercharging. And so the next part of this I wanted to talk about was the actual trip to Disney and what it was like in the parks, what it was like to go to Disney World in a pandemic. Overall, I wanted to just say that it was just a great experience doing a road trip in a Tesla, especially in our Model Y with the 316 miles range. It was super easy. Never had any range anxiety from getting from one supercharger to the next or to our destination. And each day in the park, we lost a little bit of range while it was out in the hot sun, and we let it cool itself off. You can turn that off. We left Sentry mode on. That also takes some power to let it sit there and monitor the car with all the cameras. But overall, you could save some of that, obviously, energy during the day. You could just let it, if you didn't have the Sentry mode on and you didn't have the AC running the car down to 100 degrees or less, then you obviously could save some energy there. But so I would highly recommend a Tesla as a road trip vehicle. In fact, I much prefer an electric vehicle, if it's a Tesla, to a gas-powered vehicle for a road trip. Now, I cannot speak for other cars, such as a Chevy Bolt, or I think, you got some Hyundai, like Hyundai Kona and that sort of thing, that do have the ability to charge at Electrify America across the country. You can get those chargers, so you can do road trips in other electric vehicles, but the network is not nearly as robust for those vehicles. But I cannot speak to how much challenge there would be for you to get from one charging stop to another and to get to your destination ultimately. I would imagine it would be much more difficult because those other networks are not nearly as robust as the Tesla supercharger network. I'm hoping that in the next few years, these other charging networks, the charging infrastructure is going to be built out much more, so it will be just as convenient to go in one of those vehicles as it is in a Tesla. But I gotta imagine that right now, a Tesla is the best electric car for a road trip at this time. Again, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate if you've made it through to the end of this video. You are the best. Thank you so much. I would really appreciate your help getting this video out to more people. If you give this video a thumbs up, it helps others find it. And as always, thank you so much for watching. We will see you on the next one.